Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. This is teacher Cora. I'm here so excited to talk with you today for our second lower school science lesson. So just a quick few notes about our last lesson on the scientific method and our aluminum foil boat experiment. I hope you were all able to try it at home. I think maybe around half of the students were. So I will say if you didn't get a chance to try the experiment last time because you were missing materials, feel free to get a little bit creative. For example, if you didn't have aluminum foil, try using something else like plastic or wood or maybe even some type of paper, okay? So really the only materials that you actually need are water, rice, and some type of material you can test it out on. So I'd love to see if you're able to go ahead and get actual results, calculate the averages yourself so we can test it out. Like I said, this is going to be one of our most important competencies, if not the most important one coming back doing an exam. Okay, second thing, I've added feedback to all of your quizzes that you submitted to each individual question. Please feel free to look it over. Let me know if you can't see it. I'm happy to go ahead and share it with you again. Yeah, I just want to make sure that you're able to understand any mistakes that you made moving forward. Okay, so today for our lesson, we're going to be focusing on evaluating real-world scientific problems. So this is very, very important for you because you're all citizens of the world. There are a lot of problems going on. It's very important that you're able to understand them, to relate them to science, and to understand what we can do moving forward. Okay, so I'm really excited to jump into our lesson today. So for your do now, I want you to go ahead and pause the video just for a few seconds and think of a real scientific issue that is going on in Somaliland or the world. This could be a medical issue, a physical one, or environmental. So anything that has to do with science at all. Like we said whenever we came back from school from breaks with our do nows, science covers all kinds of things. So you could think about something that has to do with outer space. We could think about something that has to do with DNA. You could think about something that has to do with plants or even animals. Maybe reach back all the way to 7th grade, think about our scientists. What do they study? What is it related to? Any scientific issue at all, okay, in the world going on right now. So first off, what is happening? And secondly, why is this issue important to you? Okay, so go ahead and just pause the video here if you'd like, and then when you're ready, you can move on. Okay, so the reason that we are going to be focusing on this today is it relates to our lower school science competencies. So like I mentioned before, whenever you come back to school, you are going to have a quiz to make sure that you are able to understand what we learned in science this year and move on to the next grade. Now, luckily enough for you, a large part of this quiz is pretty much just going to be on the scientific method. So I would really, really focus on that and understand. Now, this competency is a little hard because you cannot actually be tested on it just at the beginning of the school year. So this is more of something that our science teachers, we all thought was very important for you to understand. But since this is kind of a weird year, you might not actually be tested on it. However, this one is still very, very important because it's how you relate science to the real world. Do you have critical thinking skills? Can you analyze problems? Can you come up with creative solutions? So that's why I wanted to focus on it a little bit today. So the competency is to apply learned knowledge to explain real-world scientific processes, conduct a group research project, analyzing a real issue using outside information, provide a group presentation, explain pros and cons, and construct simple diagrams. So I will say this is for 8th grade. Originally, this video might be a little bit more focused towards our 8th graders. For 7th graders, you're more than welcome to try if you want to be very brave. I know you guys are super smart also. But this one will relate a lot to kind of a presentation practice that we did earlier this year, focusing on natural resources for our 8th graders, okay? So here are some real-world scientific issues that I came up with when I thought of it. I don't know if yours were the same, but these are just some of mine. So for example, the coronavirus vaccine. This is very important right now. Coronavirus has affected millions of people around the world, led to hundreds of thousands of deaths. We don't have a vaccine for it until we get one. It's going to cause a lot of problems. So that's one thing that I'm definitely thinking about a lot. I'm sure you guys are all too. Another one, rainforest destruction. So this is something that maybe a botanist would be very worried about, or a zoologist. As we lose rainforests, we lose types of animal species. It contributes to climate change. Really, we should all be worried about this. I know we talked about this a lot in terms of climate change specifically, but that's one thing that I think about a lot too. Another thing, a real world scientific issue, is nutrition for children. So do all children in the world have access to safe, healthy, nutritious food that they need to have their brain think, to have their body work, to just live and survive and be healthy? Okay? And the one that I thought was very, very relevant, and the one we're going to focus on today, is locusts in East Africa. So I'm sure you guys all know about this. We saw them flying over the school a few months ago. And so this is one that I thought was really, really relevant and timely. Obviously, locusts are an insect, so this is important just in terms whenever we think about biology at this school, but also it is important because it also affects people. It affects their ability to access nutritious food. It affects plants, just a lot of future things. So this is kind of the issue that I thought was most important for us to focus on today. Okay? So excited to see your ideas, though. Here we have some. You've seen these before. Creepy little insects. I don't love them. So just to talk a little bit about climate change and locusts. So the name of the locusts that are currently in East Africa are desert locusts, or Schistosirsa gregaria. Try saying that 5 times fast. There are currently around 200 billion insects estimated this past year. They can reproduce once every 3 months and can travel up to 130 kilometers a day. Locusts can also eat its weight in plants each day. I read this crazy statistic, something along the lines of a swarm of locusts the size of Paris, so one city, maybe we could equate this to Hargeisa, will eat the same amount of food in one day as half the population of France. So that would be like if the population, a swarm the size of Hargeisa, would eat half the food that all the people in Somaliland would eat just in one day. So pretty crazy stuff, locusts, not fun. In favorable conditions like these, so this could be something you'd research, but thinking environmentally, what has been going on that caused the locusts to come? The population could multiply by 400 times every 6 months. So something we definitely need to be concerned about. Okay, so before you start to even write your solutions or even think about your analysis, your presentation, you need to research, okay? So this is a great way to start. Go on Google. You can either go on regular Google or Google Scholar and look at locusts in East Africa. Now, Google Scholar has very scientific articles, so I would say if you're wanting to challenge yourself, this is a great place to go. You can see that actually these articles are pretty old though, because it takes a while. You can filter by date, but these first ones that come up are 1958, 63, 51. So, and you can also see that they have a lot to do with meteorology, convection currents, atmospheric turbulence. So maybe locusts are not a new thing, right? Maybe they've been coming around for a long time. Maybe there are specific things that happen in weather that make their presence more easily to happen, okay? So here you can go ahead and start just doing research on here. Google, find good news articles from reputable news websites. You can even go on YouTube. A lot of news websites like The Guardian, Global News, DW News, Bloomberg, they have made videos on this so you can understand it better. So if you like seeing pictures and videos, you can also go that way. It's a good way for you to learn. A lot of times they have statistics and videos too. You can also look at charts or maps so that way you can better understand what's going on. And here are some examples of articles that you could read. So research is super, super important before you actually get started with making your presentation, okay? You have to know what you're talking about in order so that way you can analyze it. So kind of similarly to our projects on natural resources, you can start out with just a simple introduction, okay? So first off, what is the problem? Why is it important to talk about? So today you're going to be talking about desert locusts in East Africa that have invaded within the past year. It's very important to talk about because if we don't find a solution, a lot of people are going to lose access to food. We're going to have a lot of locusts. It's going to be a big problem, right? Okay, so just start off with the introduction. Why do we need to talk about it? Next, you want to move to scientific analysis. So here you can see what caused the problem, how is this related to other topics, for example, climate change. Is the problem the same everywhere or does it differ? So is it the same in Kenya as it is in Somaliland, as it is in Djibouti or Ethiopia? Who is most affected? So is everyone affected the same? Are farmers affected more? Are people in wet places affected more? And then use diagrams and subtopics to simply explain. So for example, when we did our natural resources project, I'm sorry you can't see so well here, but we broke it down into smaller things. So the pros and cons of, for example, choosing solar power. How will you extract or collect solar power? Are there any human rights dilemmas? Anything that affects humans when you're thinking about this, and your timeline and cost analysis. So don't just think about locusts in East Africa as a giant problem. Break it down into smaller things. So maybe you could separate by first, what caused the problem? History, and also what's related to climate change. Maybe you could think about different locations, people affected, maybe what is climate change in general too. Okay, so analysis is really thinking about the problem in a much simpler way. Okay, when we think about data, we can think about what statistics are present. What do they tell us? Data is very, very important. A lot of great scientists have done research on this already. What did they find out? Number 4, scientific solutions. So how do you think that we should solve this scientific problem based on science? Okay, so do solutions already exist? For example, maybe we're talking about rainforest cutting. We already have solutions for that, right? We should probably not be cutting down a lot of rainforests that have a lot of plants and animals in them if we want to keep them alive, okay? Things like coronavirus vaccine, not so easy to solve. We don't already have a vaccine for that, all right? Something like locusts in East Africa, maybe you have to think about what solution you want to do. Does it already exist? Is it a new thing? Okay, do we need to make new technology for it? Include pros and cons of your solution. So this would be a great thing if you actually want to recommend your solution to someone important. So the Ministry of the Environment of Somaliland, Ministry of the Interior of Somaliland, will it actually work? Will it be expensive? Will it take a lot of time? For example, let's say we should introduce chemicals in order to kill all the locusts. Might be very expensive, might take a while to do, and it might actually have really bad effects also. So maybe you say the effects are not as bad as letting the locusts come. Maybe we need to use chemicals. The pros and cons, it's close, but the pros outweigh the cons. Remember, pros are good things, cons are bad, okay? And finally, at the end, like any good paper, we have our conclusion. So what should we do now? What will happen if we actually don't act and we just let this happen? Okay? So for your homework, and I hope you got good practice with teacher Jenny's computer class last week, her assignment, I want you to make a 5-slide PowerPoint on the problem of locusts in East Africa and your scientific solutions. So I will say you guys are very, very creative. I know you have a lot of things that you think about. If you want to do a different problem that's going on, a different scientific issue, you can also do that too. So I just wanted to introduce an idea because I think this is something that is very important right now and is very much related to science and climate change, okay? If you don't have Google Slides, then you can either write a 2-paragraph response instead. So I want a very good 2-paragraph response. There better be at least like 5 sentences per paragraph minimum. And you can either type it or you can handwrite it and send it by picture if I can read it, okay? Be sure to use at least 3 sources, so at least 3 research websites, and you can either upload to Google Classroom or share via email if easier. Couple PowerPoint tips: use lots of photos, include statistics with citations, so make sure to include the website where you got it from and the year here. You can even put the full link at the bottom if you'd like. Research is super helpful. Use professional colors in your PowerPoint and small amounts of text. I think that's something we came across last time. And also try to think of intelligent, creative solutions. I'm so excited to hear what your ideas are in order to solve this problem, okay? Couple speaking tips: if you are giving a presentation in real life, of course, voice, did you enunciate properly? Speak loudly. Make sure you speak not too fast, not too slowly. Can everyone hear you? Did you pause when you needed to? Body language, did you use your hands a lot? Were you making sure that you were still? Eye contact, we talk about eye contact, of course, in class all the time. And preparation, did you practice the presentation before? So when you do go back to school, you're going to give presentations on issues like this, so this is a good thing for you to practice at home. Okay, so good luck with your projects, with your PowerPoints. Let me know if you have any questions. I am here for you always, and I'm really excited to see the ideas you come up with. Bye, everyone!